Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we are back again. I am Marq Antini, Dark 66, and we are here for more musical tips and tricks to help you in your musical setting, in a band, with a producer, as a solo musician, etc., etc. Please make sure that you subscribe, like, leave a nice comment about your current musical situation, and I will do my best to get back to you and give you musicianly advice. I've been a musician for over 10 years, and this type of musicianship advice can be applied to any genre, anywhere, anytime, in any musical situation. Alright, let's get into it. So, I was really thinking about what I was going to say, as I always take time to think about what I say before I say it on here. And just pause for a second and think about how I'm going to say this. There's two things that you need to realize when you decide that you're going to get really serious with music. The first thing is, shout out to Bill Fallon. My dad taught me this. This is great advice. You can apply this to music, you can apply this to life in general. You have to be or become a good communicator. If you think that, behind the scenes with music, that you're just going to skate through this and there's not going to be any types of arguments or things that come up, etc., and you're not going to have to talk to anybody, I really don't know what to tell you, because unless you're a one-person show, you're going to have to communicate at some point in time, and the best communicators and the most effective communicators will be able to get their jobs done quickly and most efficiently. So that's my first rule of advice. The second rule of advice would definitely be to it's actually like a psychology sort of a thing that you should keep in your mind whenever you venture out and do music. If you are in a progressive music situation, meaning that let's just say you're in a band, or you're working with a bunch of musicians week in and week out, you have to see it as, okay, this music that we're going to do is going to be, quote unquote, so good that I'm going to take them away from all of their other life's endeavors, and they're going to put all their energy into this as if it's a job, a second job, etc., etc. Because when you do that, you're then striving for greatness, and unless you're the next Beatles or you're the next Michael Jackson, you shouldn't set your hopes too high on what you're trying to achieve. That's why I've always been able to remain relevant with music, is because, not that I slack off, but I'm a rock singer, I'm a cover band artist. I know that I'm pretty good. The things that I've done have already been done before, and I'm not even currently in a band. I just went through my last breakup like a month ago, and I'm still a musician. I'm still like in the game. Okay, it's just the game just changed for me a little bit. That's all. And whatever level you're doing this at, have a clear reality of what you're doing and a clear psychology of what you're doing, and realize what you're trying to achieve. But if you really want commitment, the music has to be good. Keep that in mind. All right, let's get a little more into this now. All right, so let's see here. Okay. Music history, is it important? Why or why not? I'm going to say yes, music history is very important for the sake of learning music, learning the language of music, performing music, etc., etc. That is because Music history is important for one of these reasons. I'll use this as an example. I'm a rock singer. So where did the history of rock and roll come from? Now that's something very interesting. Some of you, if you do your research, you might be a little shocked on the origination of rock and roll. Also, there's types of music that encapsulates other types of music, or the elements in some music is found in other music if you actually do the research. Like, some people wouldn't understand that there are rock and roll elements in pop music. Again, there's rock and roll elements in pop music. Now, I'm not saying that pop music came from rock and roll, but that would be something very, very interesting to study, to find out, uncover, and unearth like other like musical truths out there. Another musical truth that I think the new generation wouldn't know is, I'm talking when I'm saying new generation, I'm saying like teenagers. They wouldn't know is the blues scale in rock and roll. Okay, there is a blues scale from the origination of rock and roll. Now, the historical music term is much broader than that. I'm not saying that rock and roll was just derived from blues, but there is a blues scale within that can be studied. And when studied, you can go back to the origination of that music and really unearth some really cool things. I mean, like different singing styles and musician styles and playing styles, etc. I mean, the list goes on and on. Just do some research for yourself. I mean, it could really be something super, super interesting. So let's see what else we got here. What types of training, in my opinion, would make a professional musician? Well, the first thing I'm going to say is start young. The younger you can start and develop that part of the brain that encompasses music and stuff like that is great. That's what basically happened to me when I was a toddler, and now I'm performing music like it's second nature. And that comfortability just comes over time. Studying music, listening to music. Listening is a big part of it. Listening to actual music is such a big part of it. I can't stress it enough. Let's see, what else? Definitely like learn more than one instrument. I said that in the first movie. I'll say it again. If you only learn one instrument, you'll be stagnant. I would say at least more than one. For instance, I'm a singer. I also play the piano casually, just to learn the language of music and broaden my horizons. It's part of being a musician, and we should all do that to grow and become better day to day, every day. And it never really ends. Okay. So 2 questions. How do producers create unique sounds effects, and how has technology changed the way we listen to music today? Well, the producers today, without making anybody feel bad, my honest opinion and musical criticism is everybody sounds the same, and that's kind of like it's kind of putting it nicely, but technology has definitely changed, because I mean, it's like everything is almost like so robotic now. When I perform Marq Antini Dark 66, I try to stay away from that, even though I've incorporated some of that into my singing style. I've incorporated like auto-tune and reverb and all that kind of stuff, just to be relevant in today's generation. But I don't try to use too much of that stuff, because again, I'm a rock singer and I'm going for more of a rock sound. But yes, I've used that stuff. So those are amongst some of the unique sounds, and the list goes on and on. I mean, you can do your research on that. And the thing that I've seen, how did the second part of that question go? Just want to see how I'm going to answer this real quick. Just give me a second here. It's changed the way we listen to music today, because it's almost like some people in the industry, and I said this in the first movie, like they have no real talent. Like they need that auto tune to sound correctly, or they need that, they can't do anything without reverb, you know what I mean, etc., etc. So I mean, I've seen this, a lot of stuff behind the scenes, like, oh, look at this singer without this, and look at this singer without that. And I think, honestly, like, I'm really not mad at it, because that's one of the motivations for my career here on YouTube. My musicianly career is, like, just, trying to bring back music to when it was great. And focusing on the elements that make music great and trying to bring that back. So, I'm not here to make anybody feel bad. This is just generally speaking, like, everything's a computer these days. Everything's an effect these days. Like, there's no real voice these days which can, hinder or make, a song great. So those are my musical tips, tricks for today. Again, if you'd like me to elaborate more, leave a comment. This is the 5th movie, Marq Antini, Dark 66. Rockstar. And I'll get back to you when I can. Just drop those comments, like, subscribe. See you later. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we are back again. I am Marq Antini, Dark 66, and we are here talking about more musical tips and tricks that you can use in your band as a musician, as a producer, etc., etc. We're going backstage, basically, and getting into all the nitty-gritties of music, a lot of different musical questions, facts, tips, tricks, all that great stuff. Alright, so let's start this one off. Let's get right into it. Let's see here. Okay, what is the most popular music genre in the world? Now, right now it's the year 2023. Worldwide, the most popular music in the entire world globally is pop. P-O-P, pop music. I just wanted to throw this in there. Knowing demographics of music and where music is in the world and where it's most popular can definitely help you as an artist. In terms of, like, choosing platforms where you would want to play out, etc., etc. When I saw that pop was the most popular in the world, I was actually a little shocked, but I'm going to get into the next, like, question, and the next question kind of, like, encapsulates why that is. And who is the best-selling artist of all time? Okay, so this is not an opinion, this is a fact. I'm going to back it up with some of my opinion, because I've seen this person perform, and it's something really extraordinary. Especially if you're from the new generation. Whenever I say new generation, I mean, like, teenagers or anybody, like, under the age of 20, kind of. Even if you're 19, you're still, like, new generation. This is a catch-22. That's an expression. Catch-22 is an expression. It's like an old-fashioned expression, but the best-selling artist of all time is the rock band, the Beatles, and because they're the best-selling artist of all time, like I said, this is kind of like a backstage sort of thing. You get, like, all these, like, really interesting facts and stuff. The pop performer Michael Jackson actually bought the right to Beatles songs. So, even though they're the best selling artist of all time, Michael Jackson actually owns the rights to those songs. It's the year 2023, so Michael Jackson is deceased. But whoever those royalties and those rights are going to, the money goes to that person, obviously. I would also just like to give like a special mention to Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson is although he's deceased, was I would even say this factually because he's just such a phenomenal performer. I would even say that Michael Jackson is probably the greatest performer that ever lived, and I don't think that his performance could ever be topped. I don't think it's really possible to achieve such a level of like mastery in what he did. I mean, the man's dancing alone was just something like you've never seen before. Like I mean, if I tried to dance like him, like I'd break my ankles. I mean, and I have no problem saying that, he's the greatest of all time. I just wanted to throw that in there. That's just a comment that I'm making. Like, you want to see the greatest of all time? Unfortunately, it's not me. It's definitely Michael Jackson. So, if you don't know who Michael Jackson is, check him out because he's just the greatest. Like, if you're looking for a show, you're looking to be entertained, I can guarantee you that if you watch that man perform, you will be entertained. All right, let's see. On to the next. So, all right, what are some of the common instruments used in classical music? Now, I wanted to use a strong example on this because this really proves a great musical point. In classical music, what I've found is the piano is like the center of all the instruments, and I wanted to highlight that the commonality of the piano is good, but I'm going to jump into the next question real quick. How have musical instruments changed since they were first created? Now, if you have like a grand piano, or you have like a classic piano that's made out of wood and such, like those types of materials, and you have a keyboard that you plug into the wall, they emanate the same sound. The same type of sound comes from them, but if you're a trained musician, you could really see the difference. You could see the difference from like the grand piano or the wooden piano, and then one you plug into the wall. It's like a world of difference. Now, if you're looking for like that specific sound and you're really into like the nitty gritty, like you're going backstage with Marq and you're like, hey Marq, which one am I going to use? I'll tell you which ones you use, but when you become like a real musician, those are the types of details that you have to be looking for. And I'm going to throw this in. Here's another great one-liner, great nugget of advice. As a musician, you have to be detail-oriented. I'm going to repeat that. As a musician, you have to be detail-oriented. There's no two ways about it. And just use that as an example. Notice the difference between a grand piano and a piano you plug into the wall. See the sound difference, the sound frequencies, even if you play them at the same time. See if you can decipher the difference and use that detail-oriented nature to push yourself forward and keep making music based off of details. Because those types of details are what's going to help you ultimately in the long run. That's my honest advice. and take that moving forward. All right, let's see this next one here. What is the most difficult instrument to play? Now, this is an opinion. My opinion is the most difficult instrument to play is definitely, without a doubt, singing. That being said, it's the most difficult instrument to play because it's so widely criticized. It's so in our culture. There's all these different singing shows and talent shows, and let's look at these amazing talented singers and then let's criticize them and tell them what they need to do to become better. And also, because there's so many people who sing, there's even a wider range of criticism based on their styles. So, I mean, I've even seen pros who have been singing for 20 plus years get criticized by the American media. I am American. Criticized by the American media and just like torn to pieces. Like, you should never sing again. You're horrible. You don't know how to hit the notes. And like, these are like paid artists, like famous artists. I'm not going to drop any names because there's no point to it, but it's so widely criticized that I really say that that's the most difficult instrument to have. And even after you learn how to sing your instrument, a lot of pros always take like vocal coaches with them on the road to refine and always learn to become better. Me, I'm a singer, and I've basically every singing situation, I mean, I've never gotten booed or anything like that. I mean, thank God. But like, I'm good enough to like, it's almost like when you're a singer, like, you're never good enough. You could always be better or improve in some way, and that's just the nature of the game. It's just how it goes. So in my opinion, that's the most difficult instrument to learn, is to sing and keep singing over, a long period of time. That's my honest opinion. And just turn on the TV, turn on one of these talent shows. You'll see like somebody who's a great singer just get like demoralized on national television and like, oh, you're not good enough and like all this other stuff. Like, thank God I'm a rock singer. Thank God I've been doing it over 10 years where like I landed, like I know that I'm pretty good in what I do. And hey, I'm Marq Antini, Dark 66, so I have my own style. I listen to my own type of music. And thank you guys for being my subscribers and my fans. All right, last question. So, okay, the last question is, what is the most unique instrument you've ever heard? Now, this is kind of a trick question because it's like, okay, like if I just hear a unique sound coming from an instrument, like I think the most unique instrument I've ever heard, like in action, and I wanted to clarify this. When I talk about these musical truths, I'm always talking about like a final product in a music environment, meaning like making a song. I'm not talking about every time you sing when you're in the shower or every time you sing when you're in your car. I'm talking about when you sing as part of a musical project and you're making at least a song. So to answer that question, the most unique instrument that I have ever personally heard would be the chimes. I forget exactly what song I was listening to. It was maybe like a song from the 60s, 70s, or 80s. And the chimes came in at the beginning of the song, and I said, wow, that's so interesting. But it's so unique to use them in the song because, like, I always thought to myself, like, if I used something that in a song, like, how do you play the chimes? You know what I mean? So, the chimes. I'm just throwing that out there. It's definitely a unique instrument. If I was ever in the studio and I came across them, I would ask the producer, hey, could you show me how to play this? I mean, I guess I'll look it up. I guess I'll look at everything's YouTube these days, so I guess I'll look it up. But I got to check that out. So see, even me, I've been singing for over 10 years. I'm always trying to gain more musical knowledge. I'm always trying to push myself a little farther. And that's another part of my ultimate advice, is that you could always become better day to day, minute by minute, second by second. This is Marq Antini, Dark 66. Rock on. Have a great day. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we are back once again. I am Marq Antini, Dark 66. We are here representing Dark South Limited, and we are here to give you musical tips, tricks, advice that you can use out there in the world, in a band, as a producer. Whether you're a pro or whether you're a beginner, we got you covered, literally. Alright, let's get into this. Okay, so first question. Do I personally have any favorite covers of songs by different artists? Now, in the previous movies, sometimes I give advice in terms of, like, what's going to make you better, or what I think is good for you at the time to help you grow. This, that, and the other thing. I do have personal favorites. One of my favorite cover songs of all time is a very simple one. The artist is Aerosmith, and they cover the Beatles' Come Together. Now, why it's one of my favorites, and I kind of live by the adage, is because they took like a regular retro song from the Beatles and they made it into something that took on a new meaning. And when I cover a song, personally, when Marq Antini, Dark 66 covers a song, I keep that same sentiment. Is that I try not to sound exactly like the artist, and I always try to put my own spin on it. So that's one of my favorites. You should check that out. Aerosmith, Come Together. The next song is they're kind of like an underground artist. They're called The Neighborhood, and they do a cover from Destiny's Child, the Destiny's Child song, Say My Name. They added these really cool instruments in it, and they changed like the tempo up and stuff like that. It's really cool. Check it out. The Neighborhood, Say My Name. Those are amongst my favorite cover songs. So there you go. Alright, next question here. Okay, is there a particular artist or band that has influenced your life in a positive way? Now, I listen to a lot of music, but I put a lot of thought into this one. And if there's one musical artist that I could say that really, impacted me in a positive way, just from talking to my family members, it would have to be an artist from New Jersey, and his name is Bruce Springsteen. Now, I'm not a huge Bruce fan. I respect Bruce. He's the boss. But Springsteen used to play in New Jersey at this place called the Stone Pony, and my mom actually used to see him perform a lot live there before he was famous. So, knowing this and talking to my mom about it, I kind of saw in him, I said to myself, okay, if he's singing this a certain way, I can sing just like that. I mean, I can easily cover Bruce in terms of vocals. So, and because my mom said that she saw him perform so many times and he was just so captivating, but at the same time he was just very normal. and very humble, if you will. Like, he wasn't like big star. Like, Marq Antini Dark 66 is a big star. But what I'm saying is he was like approachable, and he was and my mom always told me that about him, and like we had like a lot of different conversations about Bruce Springsteen, and it always seemed attainable for me the way she talked to me about how normal he was. There you go. That's the best way I could say that. So he influenced my life in a positive way, even though I'm not like a huge Bruce fan. I like some of his older stuff. He definitely impacted my life in a positive way. Okay. Let's see here. Next question. Okay, do I prefer live performances or studio recordings of songs? It really depends on the band, it depends on the venue, it depends like how many people are in the crowd, like etc. etc. I do say that like as a musician, you should let people hear you live. That should happen at a certain point in time. That's my strong opinion. There's even people who play who never necessarily go in front of a crowd, and I think, in my opinion, that's just like an injustice. I think that all music should be heard at some point in time. Even if you do music as just like some sort of a release or like a, stress reliever or something like that, what fun is it if you can't, get in front of somebody and say, hey, look, check me out. This is what I did most recently, etc., etc. So I guess I would say live performances, but if I'm listening, it depends like how I'm listening. If I'm listening casually, there's so many open endeds to this. Like, if I want to see how a band is live, I'll check them out. If I want to see their studio stuff, I'll check them out. Do I like one over the other? Not necessarily, but I always at some point want to see how they play live, because I think that's important for everybody to absorb the band live, to see like the rawness and the musicianship and the showmanship, etc., etc., etc. That's the best way I could answer that. All right, let's see here. On to the next. What do I think makes a great live performance? Okay, I put a lot of thought into this, and here's a good tidbit of information for you. Music is a two-way street. Something is happening when somebody performs music between the musicians on stage and the audience. It's a two-way street. So the best way this could happen is when you engage the audience without them overpowering the music. Okay? So I remember when my dad took me to see The Who in Madison Square Garden, and I remember that before the show they passed out these they were like plastic light bulbs. It was hard to explain. It looked like a lighter, but you pressed a button and it wasn't like a bulb. It was like just a lit up piece of plastic. But when they turned the lights out, everybody in the crowd had that, and they were waving it to the tempo of the music, which was really cool effect. So I think like if the crowd is settled enough and not being loud and obnoxious to try to like yell at the musicians on stage, and they can interact somehow like that without overpowering the music or taking away from the music, like the overall composition, I think that makes a great performance. Because even me, I mean, I've performed, I've performed like out in bars and stuff like that, and I love my fans. Like when they get into it and they're like, yeah, yeah, screaming and stuff. Like I love that, but you don't want to do that. Like you want to do that, like kind of like towards the end to show your appreciation, because sometimes, like man, like 10,000, 15,000 people can just overtake the music that's being played, and it's almost like you miss it or you hear it muffled, or I mean, it depends on the sound crew and all that, but anytime that you can engage the audience, have them in the palm of your hand and make them enjoy it and make them a part of the music without actually taking away from the music, that's how you do business. That's how you put on a good show. All right. Do I prefer to attend concerts or festivals? Now here's another one. Like this is another thing where you're comparing like apples and oranges. Okay? The one thing I can say about concerts is maybe the food isn't as good as if I go to a festival, and vice versa. Except with the music. If I'm looking to score a meal, I'll probably go to a festival to kind of get like a good meal, because I know I could always get a good meal at a festival. But if I'm going to maybe check out the music scene, I'll probably go to a concert. Because a lot of times when you go to festivals, it's like, some type of ethnic music or like heritage style music, which is fine with me. But like at the end of the day, it's two totally different things. I mean, if you go to a festival just to listen to the music, hey, that's great. And I listen to all music. I don't just listen to rock. Even though I love rock, it's basically my favorite. I love listening to all different music from all different cultures. So, with that being said, I guess for music, I guess I'll say a concert. But that's the only reason why. And then food is something to, this isn't like the Food Network over here. So like I would say a concert for that reason. Okay. All right, last question. What kind of music do you like to listen to when relaxing or unwinding after a long day? Actually, I really, like I just said, I listen to everything. So I actually, at the end of a long day, I like to turn on like my local radio station and see what the newest like mainstream popular music is, whatever it may be, whatever genre it is, etc., etc. If it's a song from 10 years ago, a song from 20 years ago, or a song from yesterday, I always like to turn on my local radio station in the area that I'm living to see who's popular now. And I listen to basically everything. I'll listen to anything at least once. I love to explore music. I love to see like the game of music, like, oh, this person's doing, this artist is selling more than this artist, etc., etc. So at the end of the day, I'm just like a normal guy. I don't listen to rock music like 24 hours a day, 365. I actually listen to like some other whatever's popular. Whatever's popular at the moment. I don't want to say other genres to eliminate the other genres that I listen to, because I really do basically listen to everything. So there are your questions answered. I am Mark Antini Dark 66. Rock on. See you later. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we are back once again. I am Mark Antini Dark 66, and we are here once again in the fifth movie, talking about all music. Alright, let's get right into it. What is your favorite album of all time? This is undeniable. My favorite album was the first album that I ever listened to would be Nevermind by Nirvana. I specifically remember sitting in the car with my dad when I was a toddler and listening to that entire album. I can remember Kurt Cobain singing very distinctly. I remember being with my dad. It was an amazing experience, and every time I hear that album or songs from that album, even a greatest hits album from them with those songs on it, it brings me right back to my childhood. So that's undeniable. Okay, what do you think makes a great song or album? Okay, I'm gonna really think about this. I'm gonna answer the album one first. A great album is an album where you can actually like put the album, or like turn the album on, whether it's a CD or digitally, and just let it run without skipping to another song or just listening to the one hit song. Just put it on from number one and just let it run all the way through. That's how you know you're listening to a great album. What makes a great song? Oh man, there's so many different ways to look at that. I mean, we could really, and that's why I'm going to continue making movies, because we can just continue to talk about it here on YouTube, and I can get some of your comments going and see what you think makes a great song, etc., etc. This is an open, interactive experience between me, Marq Antini Dark 66, and you, the audience. So, I think one of the things, I said this in one of my previous movies, but the one thing that I know that people like listening to is lyrical value, when they feel like they can relate to a song that's being sung. I tend to like music that's more like has to do with the instruments, really. I actually, even though I'm a singer, I'm not really into lyrics like that. I prefer my instruments to go a certain way. To talk very musicianly, I tend to like things that are melodic. Have like a distinctive, firm melody, if you will. There's so many different ways to say that, and so many different jargons. Another way to categorize that would somebody would say, oh, I like listening to ballads, etc., etc. But my collection of songs that I really enjoy listening to, it makes sense to me, and I don't try to get too into like music school over here. I can get back to you on that at a later time, if I could really like get all my songs together and be like, oh, I like songs that are in this format and such and such. But I really listen to everything, and I try to just like the song for the statement that it makes, and if it sounds good. That's the only way that I could really explain it in my words, my version of it. I don't really look for. It's like this is going into like what I look for in a song. And like I'm really not that critical of a person, even though I'm very picky when it comes to music, don't get me wrong. Like, I don't criticize music to the point where I'm like, oh, well, this is a good song because this is a good song. I mean, if I don't like the song, I just change the radio station, or I just don't listen to it. I don't try to think that far into it. I know some musicians do. I'm interested to know. Maybe you could help me out a little bit. Hey, you didn't see that one coming, right? All right, let's get on to the next question. Okay. Are there any songs that bring back strong memories for you? Absolutely. I don't want to keep repeating myself about Nirvana. Every single Nirvana song takes me right back to my childhood. I remember. Here's an interesting story. I remember being in fifth grade and going from elementary school to middle school, and I remember us all being sad, and I remember thinking about the graduation song. It's a song by Vitamin C. It's called the Graduation Song, and I remember like feeling that certain type of way, listening to that song, feeling that song, asking my friends if they knew about that song. I mean, I'm in like fifth grade, so I specifically remember that. Um, when I was a kid, I definitely remember when like Eminem like first got famous. Like that was just like everybody, when he came out with like the real Slim Shady and like everybody had blonde hair. Um, I remember that whole like boy band thing with NSYNC and the Backstreet Boys, like the and like Britney Spears and the Miss Christina Aguilera, back when MTV was MTV. But I can't tell you my age because I'm a rock star. Rock stars don't talk about their age. It's just something that goes shh. Anyways, that whole musical era like takes me like I have strong memories of like all those songs from that era, and like I remember like, oh, here's another one I want to add, Linkin Park. I remember when Linkin Park came out with their first album, The Hybrid Theory. Oh man, that was a beautiful masterpiece of music. Like I loved that album. I could sit down and listen to that album for 72 hours straight without taking a break. I mean, that's how great it was. And these were these musical artists at the time were just like they were just starting. Like it was just like such a different time, and you had like MTV and like all this different stuff. Like I may even, you know what? I don't know. I gotta somehow think of more incorporation to like that time period and put it in one of these movies, like because it was just such a dynamic time for music in general. And I didn't really get into rock. Like I didn't find my genre until I was in my early 20s, but I was always just like a huge fan of music and like watching how the music progressed and stuff like that. I remember I used to come home and like watch MTV and like all the music videos like constantly, and like I don't know, I just never really told anybody because I wasn't shy about it, but I wasn't like I didn't want to be in the school band. Like I wasn't in touch with my muse at the time. And here's another quick nugget for you. I remember when I started singing when I was, I would say, like right after high school and college. I'm not going to say what age. But I remember my mom telling me this because she's a pretty good singer. She was like, you want to wait until your voice is mature enough before you start hitting all those notes, because if you start singing a certain way, your voice is going to change before you're fully developed. You might have to rewind that. I'm not repeating that, but that's a good tip for my singers out there. Like what my mom said holds true, because now my range, I could sing high, I could sing low, I could sing mid range. My vocal range has improved because of my mom's advice. Just throwing that out there. If you gotta rewind on that, do it, because I'm telling you, you might want to wait on certain things. Um, yeah. So, yeah. Oh, and getting back to what I was saying before about the age. The age isn't like a big deal. Like my friends know, Um, it's part of me putting on a show that, like I mean, you don't really get into like age in music is not necessarily relevant information, so I mean it's like, like who cares. it's not like I'm embarrassed about my age or whatever. I get better with time, fine like wine, like whatever you want to say. Like I'm not. It's not that. You know, it's just comes with the territory. That's all. Like you ever go to like you know. I'm not gonna say specific names, but like you ever seen the band ZZ Top? They're a rock band, and like they all have the big beards with the sunglasses. Like you can't really tell. I'm not saying they do it for that reason. But I'm saying that that's something that you want to take into consideration when you perform. Is that you always want to look young, vibrant. You always want to look like hot stuff. You want to look attractive. Put it that way. You want to look attractive whenever you perform live music, because that's gonna add to the performance. You don't want to you don't want to like go out there saying, "Oh yeah, I'm this older guy who's, my back hurts and, I'm missing a tooth, et cetera, et cetera." You want to forget about all that and just deliver like you've never delivered before. And, if anybody's really asking about your age, it's like, just, and stuff like that. Like, it's part of performing. It's called showmanship. There you go. Showmanship. There's another little nugget for you. Showmanship. If I didn't have showmanship, there would be no Marq Antini Dark 66 wearing these sunglasses, looking into this camera at this time of night and getting paid for it. Alright, let's get into the next one. You get the point with all that. Okay. Is there an artist or band whose work you have followed for a long period of time? Yes, absolutely. The band that I would say that is most influential in my life that I have followed for a long period of time is definitely, without a doubt, Aerosmith. Definitely. I think I've seen every documentary that band has ever put out, and I've absorbed it like a sponge. And, like, those guys are so entertaining to watch. I could just watch it like I watch it like I'm watching a movie. They inspired me to, well, I don't want to say it was a direct inspiration, because a lot of their stuff is in document format. These guys are like touring the world. But when they talk about music, man, I love listening to Steven Tyler talk about music, because he's so musically inclined. I've learned so much from him. Shout out to Steven Tyler. But anyways, that's definitely a band. Another documentary that I'll definitely never forget. I watched a documentary on the band Kiss. They're just like a phenomenal band, and I loved the documentary. I loved every moment of it. But definitely the band that I've watched more than any other band is definitely Aerosmith. Like, watch their music videos, watch the documentaries, I've seen them live. Like, I'm a huge Aerosmith fan. So there you go. In retrospect, not to be dark, okay, but my name is Dark 66. Let's just pretend that, Cobain was still alive. Maybe I would be watching more of his documentaries. Okay, and I'm not trying to make anybody feel bad saying that. I'm just saying that progressively, you watch Nirvana, it's just, I've watched a lot of like Cobain documentaries, but it always ends with his suicide, obviously, but, it's like, anyways, that's one of the reasons why I think I watch Aerosmith more than any other band, but my favorite band is Nirvana. Always gotta stay true to your roots. Okay. Let's see here. Do you have a favorite music video? I really thought about this one. This is a great question. I really thought about this one. And I came up with 2 music videos that I absolutely adore. Number 1, Guns N' Roses' Welcome to the Jungle. The first time that I ever saw that music video, and the way Axl Rose dances with the music, my eyes were like this. I mean, I'm not even kidding you. Like, I never saw a rock and roll frontman put on a performance like that. I was blown away, like, with his performance. I was just shocked. Like, just like, if you watch how he moves with the music, and how perfectly he moves with the music, and he accentuates the music like that, like, I felt that's what made me. Like, that's what made Marq Antini Dark 66. Like, when I saw that, I was like, I can do that. Maybe not as good as he can do it, but I could still do that. I don't want to say it was my ultimate inspiration, but that's definitely my favorite music video. I can't even sing like half as good as Axl Rose, okay? But I'm just saying that, like, there's a similarity there somewhere. Somewhere in our muse, I learned something from that guy. Watch that music video. And then my other favorite music video is by the supergroup Velvet Revolver. Okay, they're another band that I wish stayed together. I loved that band so much. The song is called Slither. It's a music video. The rock and roll frontman Scott Weiland, another great musician who passed away, unfortunately, puts on the show of a lifetime. The way he moves with the music, it's something amazing. It's just like, I don't know, like, he accentuates the music, and that's kind of like my style too, because like I own a guitar, but I don't play the guitar. It's just, I play piano more, type of thing, and I just keep a guitar in the house in case somebody wants to pick up and play, but I don't play guitar. I just, when I sing, I just sing. It's just me and my mic stand, and, I like to, like, I wouldn't say, like, dance, but, like, move with the music a little bit, like, sort of a thing. So I can appreciate those types of singers moving with the music like I do, and not being shy about it. I think it's, like, totally awesome. It's definitely, like, really artistic and, like, amazing. So those are my two favorite music videos. Guns N' Roses, Welcome to the Jungle, Velvet Revolver, Slither. Check them out. They rock. It's, like, so awesome. Just if you want to be entertained, watch those music videos. Alright. Okay. Do you prefer listening to albums or singles? To be really honest, it's been a long time since I sat down and actually, like, let an album run through. I'm a fan of, like, greatest hits albums. And when I listen to singles, sometimes I listen to them joyfully, sometimes I listen to them mechanically. There's two different ways to listen to that. And, it's... I guess you could say I'm more of a singles guy. I think it's kind of like the way everybody does things these days. But if somebody had an album, or like some sort of like an album release party, like, I'd be there and just, like, listening to the album. Like, I think that's, like, really old school and cool, like, definitely. So, but I guess at the end of the day, I'm a singles guy. Alright, so how will AI change the music industry? I think it's cool in a sense of, like, the new technology is always, like, doing new things, and it's like, oh, it's like an experiment, and watch this, and it's all, like, shock value, basically. The thing is, like, I really don't want to comment on this, because I don't want to, like, stir the pot. I just want to, like, keep stuff cool with this. But at the same time, it's like, I'll be honest. Look, I'm an American, okay? I'm gonna be honest, alright? I listened to one of my favorite rappers, 50 Cent. Kanye West did, like, an AI cover of In the Club. And it sounded pretty cool. Like, I'm not afraid to say that it sounded cool, but I think if it gets to another level where, like, artists are getting paid off of other artists' songs, and there's all this chaos, like, I guess it shouldn't be allowed. but I mean, it's like technology, like, I guess at its finest. I'm not like a super fan of what happens because of that. But I mean, depending on the song, in certain instances, it can be cool. Okay, but I might do another segment on that, like another movie segment on that somewhere down the road. But for now, I'll just say it's kind of cool just to see, like, oh, like, what if, like, like, what if this happened? But at the same time, it's like bad for the artist, like, because I know that, like, a lot of artists have just been speaking out against it, and, like, I agree with the artist at the same time. So for me, it's like a catch-22. I think it's cool, but at the same time, it's like a disgrace to the artist. So there's my answer. I might get back to you on that. I am Marq Antini, Dark 66. See you next time. Rock on.
Some kind of butterfly. Baby, you give me midnight. You whip up my appetite. Don't leave me here high and dry. Baby, you give me ice and fire. You're channeling wind and rain. You're some kind of butterfly. Don't leave me here high and dry. Oh, some kind of butterfly. Baby, you give me midnight. You whip up my appetite. Don't leave me here high and dry. Oh, but I don't wanna jinx it, baby. Let's not get ahead of my time. Oh, but I don't wanna miss you, baby. So I stand up and speak just my mind. Oh. You're chilling in the rain. You're some kind of butterfly. Baby, you give me midnight. You whip up my appetite.